Hello, everyone. And I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see you coming on in. Welcome to Thought for Thursday. For once, I think I have all my tech stuff working right. I don't even want to say it for fear something may just crash and burn on me. But anyway, happy Thursday, everybody. As usual, like I said, it is Thursday, and I am always very happy to see Thursday. It's been a long week. I don't know about you, but I feel like it's taken me a little while to get to this point. So I'm real happy to be on the eve of a weekend. How's that? I hope that, like I said already, you all have had a great week. I had a podcast that's going to drop later on tonight, and I'll be sure to come back and tell you about that. We already have Dr. Michelle Johnson up on our YouTube as well as over on the XOD network. Definitely go and listen to what she had to say to us. She's definitely shared some nuggets that'll be of great use to us. But anyway, tonight on Thought for Thursday, you have seen the post that I put up already. And, I must admit, I'm kind of talking to myself even on this one, although I've been really trying to be a little more conscious of it. But the question is, why are we so busy? Huh? Why are we so busy? And that's a particularly good question right now, particularly, since we're in the middle still of a pandemic and we can't move about quite as freely, of course, as we do or as we did prior to being in the pandemic. So, what are we doing that's keeping us busy? I don't know about you, but I have even found a way to stay busy right here from my house. And I don't know, I'm not bragging about that because it's not necessarily a great thing, but I want us to think about it because it makes a difference in how we go about making change in our life. And also, if we even think that we are capable of change, we can sometimes have ourselves be so overwhelmed by busyness that we doubt the fact that we can actually make change. And then if we decide to make it, we don't always make the best decisions because we haven't really given it a whole lot of thought. So, like I said, tonight I wanted to come to you, or I am coming to you, to ask you to look at your life and determine where there's some areas where you can really kind of slow down. If you are embarking on making a change with anything in life, rather that be your career, if you're deciding to move somewhere, if you're deciding to make a huge purchase, whatever it is, any change requires thought. And in order to really think something through properly, you need to be able to have some time to sit where you're not encumbered by 50 million things clouding your mind, clouding the area even where you have to sit and process. You really need to take some time, make some time to give it some serious consideration so that you're able to connect all of the dots that you need to connect in order to make a good decision. You know, in particular, I talk to my risers about change and change coming at this point in life when you might be an empty nester, for example. You may be deciding you want to downsize at this point. The kids are gone and you want to go to a smaller house. Some of us are, dealing with health challenges. We may be in a different type of lifestyle, even where we're caring for elderly parents, or we're deciding whether or not we're going to stop where we're working or continue and perhaps pursue another avenue in our jobs, or perhaps come out and be that entrepreneur that we have wanted to be for quite some time. All of those types of decisions require downtime. Point, period, the end. It requires some time for you to really sit and reflect. These are major decisions, these are major changes. Some, again, that we have opted to go into ourselves. And some of these changes have come about because of life, just overall, or just because we are making changes in an effort to get ahead of something, to get ahead of something that could be coming down the road that we don't necessarily want to have come down the road. There are all kinds of reasons for making changes. Um, so I want us, again, sit down, make the time to figure out how is it that perhaps we can clutter our lives a bit. If you're going to do something different, if you're going to implement any process, anything of that nature, you really need to sit and reflect and make sure that you have all of the pieces captured. Make sure that you're taking into account the effect of the change that it's going to have on you, and then determine what you really, really want out of the change. And it's at that point that you're going to be able to sit back and, look and say, what I want out of the change, have I made the right decisions to get there? Do I think I'm going to be able to achieve this? And if not, back it up and look at it again. So, what happens if you don't actually take that time? Then you're hurried. You're not giving it your full attention. You are dividing time that needs to be spent on something that could be a major impact for you, that can majorly impact your life, and you're giving it about half of the concern that you need to give to it. So, for that reason, I want you to think about it some. How can you narrow some things down a bit? Or perhaps you've been successful. Perhaps you've been able to kind of, you know, spend the time that's needed, commit the resources, do the research, write down the information, make the preparation. Maybe you have actually been able to do this, and that is wonderful. I want to encourage you, and I also, want to commend you for doing that. But if you're like most of us, you know, you may not have given things a whole lot of thought. It may be the very reason why you haven't made a change, because, again, you're thinking it can't be done. You're thinking you don't know how to approach it. You're overwhelmed by being encumbered by so many other things. Just the thought of making this change is something that you can't even fathom. So, I told us we need to slow down. We need to give it time. We need to put into the thought process for getting a change or making a change. We need to give it the same impact that it's going to have on our lives. We need to be able to sit and think it through. So, how is it for those of us out there who right now are, yeah, we're kind of overwhelmed? We don't even want to tackle it because we don't know how to eliminate some of the other things in our lives to even give making a difference or making a switch over to something important enough or important to us to go ahead and make the change. So, what is it that we can do? How is it that we can declutter our lives? Why is it, like I said, that, life, again, is supposed to be full, but it shouldn't be totally busy? Why is that? Because a busy life misses out on a lot of things that are important, and you don't have the time to live through all of the experiences that you're having because you're busy just trying to get through them. So, what are some of the things that you can do, okay, that you can do to kind of slow the process a bit, to kind of sit back and create the time that's needed to actually give yourself permission, for one, to go ahead and take a look at some things that you really want to have be different? One thing that you can do is prioritize. Okay. Decide what is the most important task that you're going to accomplish in the day. That means you could have 50 things that you need to accomplish. However, you need to stop and sit and think about what is most important. That will help you to kind of eliminate things and to streamline things so that you don't feel so overwhelmed by having to do a lot of things. Something else you can do, look at what you're doing and honestly critique it and say, what am I doing? Is that really a waste of time for me? Am I really getting out of this what I want to get out of this? Is this something I could really put off? Perhaps I don't need to do this every day. Perhaps it's something that I need to do once a week. That's a way to kind of eliminate, okay, or yeah, to kind of weed down on the busyness that's going on in your life. A third thing you can do, keep a short to do list. Now, we can make a long one, okay? But how do you keep it short? Break that to do list into 2 days, okay? You may say, oh, well, I can't. I have to get this done today, or there's some things that I really need to focus on. I can't put that off for another day. And I would challenge you and say, sure, you can. Even if you cannot put off the entire task, there may be a piece of it that you can push over 2 days rather than have it just be one day. I mean, let's face it, if you're constantly overwhelmed by your to do list, there's a very good chance that you're not being effective in getting everything done in the first place. Am I right? Okay. Something else that you can do, eliminate excess. Okay. Avoid spending your time, all right, on activities that don't necessarily have to be included in things that you do. What do I mean by that? Do you have to, for example, go out and purchase groceries every day? Perhaps you can do something where you're purchasing it every 3 days or so. There's no need for you to have to go out every day. Perhaps you, depending upon your budget, you can have, a delivery of your groceries. Look for ways to eliminate things that you're doing in excess. Are you excessively going to some place on a regular basis? I don't know where that may be. Um, could you, for example, if there's something that your children are doing, could you arrange with other mothers to perhaps carpool so that you don't have to be, unless you want to be for any, significant reason, but you don't necessarily have to be at every activity. Perhaps you guys can divide that up and that can save you some time right there. Something else that you can do, limit yourself. What do I mean by limit yourself? If you only allow yourself a limited amount of time to work on something, and I talked a little bit about this when I talked about blocking your time last week. If you're allowing just a certain amount of time, okay, then that will force you to do the most important tasks first. That's what we're getting at when I say limit your time. The fear of not getting it done in time, of course, is going to increase the efficiency as to whether it will actually get done and how well it will get done. So limit yourself. And this is particularly helpful if you know that you're a procrastinator and you're constantly just kind of giving yourself extra time, extra time, extra time that you don't really need. You're really putting off what you really want to do. Ouch. Okay. Yes, I'm guilty. All right. But that is something else that you can do. And the last thing I had down here was to measure yourself. At the end of the day, ask yourself just how busy you were. Ideally, you should have a full day. And I mean, all of us are probably over full, but you shouldn't have an endless list of tasks to be completed. All right. So, those are again some hints for ways that you can better manage your time so that you don't feel so overwhelmed all the time, so that you're not incredibly busy all the time, so that you can chisel out all right? Some downtime for you to spend and actually contemplating and making sure that you are combining all of the components, looking at all of the components that are necessary to make change in your life. I mean, let's face it, I'm talking to my risers in particular. At this stage in life, we could be making some pretty big changes. Changes that are deserving of our time and changes that are deserving of us giving full attention to what it's going to mean for the change to occur, how important it's going to be in our lives, whether we really want that to happen or not. If we're finally going after something that we've put off for most of our lives because we were waiting for that nest to finally get empty, or we're finally getting to the point where we can use our 401k. Let's make some wise decisions about how we're gonna live that second half. So we owe it to ourselves. It is imperative that we take the time to not be so busy that we don't plan for the change as we should. All right, that's it for today. Giving you a quick 15 minutes of information for you to think about. Okay, 15 minutes today, definitely of information that, is going to extend far beyond what I just shared with you, but something to have you to start to think about where you need to make a difference and what you need to do for yourself in order to make sure that any changes you make at this point in life are effective and they're the ones that you want to make. All right. That's it for Thought for Thursday. Thank you guys for listening. Be sure to go over to YouTube. If you've missed any of them, go check out the Jolie's Enterprises channel. Like and share, subscribe. Go ahead and you can go back and you can watch the older episodes. Sloan, I'm glad this has been helpful to you. I'm very happy. Go on over and catch some of the other ones that I have up on YouTube as well. And definitely make sure that you look at YouTube for the older episodes of Reinvent and Rise. And then head on over to the XOD network that has the current episodes as well of Reinvent and Rise. All right, that's it. Everybody be well, stay healthy, and stay safe. Talk to you soon.